Hello everyone and welcome to my tutorial. It is
Thursday, August 4th, 2022.
August 4th, 2022, and we are getting ready to do this Yu-Gi-Oh tutorial. Now before I start, I do want to apologize for the low quality audio that I am producing with the microphone that I currently have, because the old one that I was using before, well, now doesn't work. It works as headphones, just not as a microphone. So I had to buy a new microphone. Unfortunately, it's one of those things that I gotta do. So, that being said, I did want to go ahead and start this tutorial. And what I want to do here is I'm going to go through pretty much all the commands you can find here in the Yu-Gi-Oh client. For those who don't know, I, with a team of people, have created a Yu-Gi-Oh client that allows a blind person to play online with people in an accessible format the game of Yu-Gi-Oh, which is a trading card game made by Kazuki Takahashi and owned by Konami. Um, this game is very awesome, and I think that those who are into card games will enjoy it. But I can't lie to you and say that it's going to be easy, because it's a very complicated game, and I'm not going to sugarcoat that because it's not worth sugarcoating. That it's not Hearthstone. Okay, like Hearthstone, you can pick up and pretty much learn it in pretty much 5 minutes. Yu-Gi-Oh is going to take some time to learn because there's so many mechanics in Yu-Gi-Oh that just aren't in Hearthstone and other games. For instance, in Yu-Gi-Oh there is no mana system, and because there is no mana system, you can essentially um, summon any monster that you wish if you have the right materials for it from your hand or from wherever, essentially. That is one thing. The second thing is that there are 8 different ways to summon monsters, and each way has their advantage and disadvantage. And of course different monsters depending on which kind of summoning method you use. For these, there is actually, yes, 8. Normal summoning, ritual summoning, fusion, synchro, xyz, pendulum, and link. Let's see, that is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay, 7. Not 8 ways. 7 ways to summon monsters. Unless you count maximum summoning, which isn't really a thing yet. But that's beside the point. So because there are 8 different ways to summon monsters in Yu-Gi-Oh, you have to kind of learn them all and learn why it's important to do these and how it works in the game and things like that. I am not going to necessarily explain to you everything about this game because this game is crazy. And if you want a separate tutorial on how to play this game, I would recommend going to TGS Anime's YouTube channel. He explains all of the mechanics in a easy-to-learn series called The Idiot's Guide to Summoning, and he provides you with an idea of what these cards do, what they are, how to use them correctly, and things like that you will learn over time. But it just kind of depends on how you take this. I will, however, explain to you the basics. And the basics of this game is that you and your opponent start out with 8,000 life points. And the goal of the game is to drop your opponent down to 0 before they do to you the same thing. And with that, you have monsters, spells, and traps. Each different cards have different purposes. The monsters you fight with, you can either fight your opponent or attack them directly during a duel. You have spells that will help to increase your opponent's attack points or decrease your opponent's monster's attack points, and do all kinds of other things. And you have traps that you can use during battle or during the duel to essentially trip up your opponent and make it so that it's harder for them to attack because they lose attack points and or things like that. And of course, your monsters have a defense point value. And when you set your monster in these two modes, either attack or defense mode, the number that they have is a calculation that will be made when an opponent attacks you. So for instance, if I summon a monster with 1000 attack points, and another person summons a monster with 3000 attack points, if I set it in attack position, then I suffer the difference's damage. So that would be 2000 attack points. So if I were to do that, that would be, well, pretty stupid. And two, well, it just wouldn't make sense. So what you would do is you would set your monster into defense mode. And let's say your monster has 1600 defense points, and the opponent's monster still has 3000 attack points. You do not lose life points when you're attacked in defense position. You lose your monster, of course, because it gets destroyed, but you do not lose life points unless the monster that attacks you has what's called piercing damage. And piercing damage allows you to issue damage, the difference that you would have if you were to have the monster in attack. If you were to put the monster into defense and they attacked you, piercing damage would allow them to cause damage to you even if your monster was in defense mode. So that's one mechanic of the game. But let's get started. I'm going to load up the YuGiOh client. Now, remember, this is still kind of in beta, or still in beta officially. So there might be a few bugs, but for the most part, you'll find that it isn't so bad. And once you learn the keyboard commands, you'll find that it's a lot easier to duel. I've been dueling for days, and I actually had to stop dueling for like a good 3 or 4 days now because I got too tired of dueling, and that's the way that it felt to me. So there we go. That's what happened. So I'm going to load up the YuGiOh client.
Adopt blind accessibility 14. See users can OneDrive desktop adopt blind accessibility items view list.
Okay.
Selected. Items view list. Adopt 22 of 24. See users can OneDrive desktop Pro accessibility project version.
Now, the sounds that I'm using are not default sounds, so it will sound different to you because I replaced the sounds with other sounds that I found that I like. So that's just the way it is. But here we go. We're in the YuGiOh client. To navigate the menus, you use the left and right arrow keys instead of the up and down arrow keys to navigate the menus. Unless told otherwise. But here we go. Here are the options we have. We have Duel. That is an option that allows you to duel offline, which is what we're going to do for this demonstration. Because dueling online would be something I do on stream, which is something I might do right after this tutorial making. If you want to see that live. Deck editor. Now this deck editor is a deck editor that allows you to take codes from the YuGiOh MUD. Now, I don't know if you know what the YuGiOh MUD is, but the YuGiOh MUD is a text-based YuGiOh client made by the blind, for the blind, that the blind community can duel each other on with. Now, this does not allow you to duel people online that are sighted. So if you want to duel people online and find a duel where you'll most likely get one, because there's hundreds of people on the YuGiOh Pro client that we've made. You can do that, but in order for you to put in decks, besides putting in the YDK files into the decks folder, you can take your decks and import them from the MUD into the YuGiOh Pro client, which is what I've done with a lot of the decks that I have. So I've done that for some. Right, so that's what I've done. Now, I will not go through that process yet, because that's beyond the scope of the tutorial. My scope is to teach you the commands of dueling, and if you want to learn how to use the deck editor, you can do so by reading the keyboard map file inside of the folder when you download this client.
Game options.
Game options allows you to change music and sound options for volume.
Accessibility.
Accessibility gives you a list of the keyboard commands, so if you ever get stuck, you can get a list of the keyboard commands pretty quickly. But for the most part, it should be good. And of course, online duel. Now, within these menus, there are different options depending on where you go. Online duel allows you to host matches, host duels, or go to different servers and things like that, and that kind of thing. But since we're not going to be playing online today, I will not be doing so. Go through the options. I'll just go through the duel options inside of the offline duel, because I'm going to set my opponent's deck. So here we go, duel. Now you press enter to interact with options.
Land plus AI.
Okay. Land plus AI.
Player name.
My player name. I'll set my player name.
Host duel. Player name. Host duel. Player name. Type your name.
Leo.
Set name as Leo. Host duel.
Host duel.
Host game. Room password. Rules okay.
And I'm just going to.
Num player team 1.
You can set different options in the host game, the dialogue. So there's different options here, like for tag duels.
Num player team 2. Best of. Time limit.
Best of, time limit.
Starting LP.
Starting life points.
Starting hand.
Starting hand.
Cards per draw.
Cards per draw.
Don't check deck.
Don't check deck.
Don't shuffle deck.
Don't shuffle deck.
Room name.
Room name.
Room password.
Room password if you want to play private duels with your friends.
Rules okay.
And the OK button that has just the rules OK.
Rules okay. Player joins the game.
Okay, now I'm going to choose my deck. To do this, I'm going to press the letter C to see which decks I have and to choose a deck by pressing D. So C, up and down arrows, and then D to select your deck.
Deck ready. Deck low. Deck start rise. Deck low. Deck deck is.
I will choose this deck.
Player ready. Player is ready.
Now, I will press enter.
Get ready and wait for enemy before start the game.
The one I pressed enter and it said get ready for player. Well, I can add a bot. So to do that, I will press V. Or
select AI.
Or yes, I will, because this is offline, I have to go to the menu, so left and right arrows.
Start duel. Select deck. Player ready. Select AI. Bot configuration. Deck cybers.
So it says bot configuration. You can select which deck you want the bot to use.
Deck Dark Magician. Deck Dragoonity. Deck Dogmatica. Deck Dragon the Red Eyes. Deck Familiar Possessed. Deck Frog. Deck Red Magic Sun. Deck Horse. Deck White Sworn Castle. Deck Great Star. Deck Wind Witch Gusto. Deck WC08 Top 8. Deck WC First. Deck 0504 Gravekeeper. Deck Zark Rise. Deck Hubble. Deck Trains. Deck Tashian. Deck Hubble.
I'll give it this deck to use.
Add a bot. AI Q and Lucky joined the game. AI Q and Lucky is ready.
Okay. The bot joined the duel. So now I will press
select deck. Player ready.
Start
select AI.
duel.
Start duel. Start game. Scissors, rock, paper.
Scissors, rock, paper. For this, you do not need to use the mouse. Some people had misconceptions that you needed to use the mouse to do this. You do not need to do this. Scissors is the number 1 on your keyboard, on the top of your keyboard, not the numpad. 2 and 3. So that's what you used. You do not use a numpad, you use the actual keyboard, and you press 1, 2, and 3 on the keyboard. So I will press 1.
Scissors. Player 2 through 5. Player 1 through 5. Next turn. Draw phase. Stand 5 phase. Main phase 1. Do a summoning Pray for the Magical Warrior. Pray for the Magical Warrior is activated. One spell counter based on Pray for the Magical Warrior. End phase. Next turn. Draw phase. Player 1 through 1. Stand 5 phase. Main phase 1.
Okay. So, they summoned a monster by normal summoning a monster. Now, in this game, you have the ability to normal summon once any monster that you wish that is level 4 or below. For level 5 and 6, you must tribute summon by sacrificing one monster that's already on your field. For levels 7 and 8, you sacrifice 2 monsters. Levels 9 through 12, you sacrifice 3 monsters. These are called tribute summons, and this is one way to summon a 5 powerful monster. This is the only way that you can do this if you're doing it by normal summoning. So, that's normal summoning. Let's check what I have in my hand by pressing Q.
Hand 6 cards. Free tap without free Scorpio slot 0.
You use the left and right arrow keys to navigate the cards in my hand.
Free tap without free Scorpio. Free tap without free Scorpios. Free tap without free Scorpios. Free tap with Kumina Sundu slot. Free tap with Kumina Sundu. Free tap with Kumina Sundu slot. Free tap with Kumina Sundu slot 5.
Okay, I got a pretty good hand. Now, to check what a monster does. This deck is pretty advanced, but I'm using it anyway because it's going to be fun to use and it's going to be a great way to show you how to fusion summon. So, to do this, I'm going to check what my Scorpio does. To do this, I will press the letter I, and it will give me the information, and you'll hear the attack, defense, and the effect of the monster, as monsters have effects. So here it is, and I will show you now.
Scorpio, hand 1, monster effect, dark, level 3, lance, attack 1200, defense 800. If this card is normal or special summon, you can send one monster from your hand to the die. Special summon one monster from your deck, except Scorpio. You can only use this effect of Scorpio once per turn.
Okay, that's the effect of that.
Slot 3.
Let's see what this does.
Hand 4, monster effect, dark, level 2, lance, attack 600, defense 200. Monsters with a predator counter that you use as fusion materials are treated as dark. During your main phase, you can fusion summon one dark fusion monster from your extra deck. Using this card on the field and monsters from your hand, field, and slasher monsters with a predator counter your opponent controls as fusion material. You can only use this effect of once per turn.
So, I will summon this monster, Sundu, because it allows me to fusion summon. So, to do this, I will press Enter on the monster.
Selected Sundu.
I will press A.
Select the zone to play Sundu.
I will press W.
There are no cards to display.
Because W allows me to access the monster zones. Now press the letter 1. I'll press the number 1. Now, I've normal summoned the monster. What I will now do is I will go back to where I was before in the monster zone and press W.
Monster zone 1 cards.
I will press Enter on the monster that I have seen that I've already summoned.
Selected Sundu.
And I will press the letter F to activate its effect.
Select a monster to special summon. 2500 attack. 2500 attack 2000 defense zone 0.
So, this is a fusion summon. Now, normally what you would need to do is you would need to summon a fusion monster by using what's called polymerization, which is a spell card that you would get in your hand that you could use to fusion summon monsters in your hand. But this is a monster that allows me to fusion summon without polymerization. So I do not need to use polymerization to fusion summon. So I will now fusion summon. To do this, I will select the monster that it says I should select, that I'm able to select, and it's called Chimeraphlesia. It has 2500 attack points and
2500 attack 2000 defense zone 0.
2000 defense points. So I will select it right now by pressing Enter.
Selected Scorpio.
Now it brings up the options of the monsters that I can use to fusion summon with that are in my hand. So I will press for both of these. Watch.
Selected Scorpio. Sent to die. Sent to die. Select the zone to play Chimeraphlesia.
So I had to use the monster in my hand to fusion summon, but I was able to use the monster on the field to fusion summon too. So it selected it, no big deal, and now the monsters are in what's called the graveyard. This allows me to fusion summon the monster because I've used this card's effect to fusion summon. So now I will do so. Press W.
There are no cards to display.
And press number 1.
Select position.
You can either put this in attack or defense position. For attack, you press comma. For defense, you press period. I will summon this in attack position.
Attack up. One special summoning Chimeraphlesia.
And there we go. I have fusion summoned. Now, that's what happened in my main phase. The main phase is the phase that you use to summon monsters onto the field. You can also use it to set traps and spells, but you cannot attack until you're in battle phase. So I will press backspace to go to battle phase. Now I will attack. Press W to go to your monster zone.
Monster zone 1 cards.
Press Enter to select the monster.
Selected Chimeraphlesia.
Press A to attack.
Monster zone 1 cards. Select an attack target. Breaker the Magical Warrior.
It will automatically take me to my enemy's field. So I will hit Enter on Breaker the Magical Warrior, which is the monster that the opponent summoned.
Selected Breaker the Magical Warrior.
And I will hit A again to attack.
Monster zone 1 card. This card cannot use a command right now. Chimeraphlesia attacks Breaker the Magical Warrior. Trigger Chimeraphlesia from monster zone.
It can trigger the effect of Chimeraphlesia.
Yes.
Why not?
Chimeraphlesia activated. Damage 6 cards. Player PLT minus 2600. 5400 LP remaining. Breaker the Magical Warrior destroyed. Damage step end.
So, the effect of Chimeraphlesia allows me to gain 1000 attack points when calculating for the attack. So normally it would attack for 600, but it hit for, or 1600, but it would this it hit for 26. That's what happened. So now the monster is destroyed, and the opponent lost 2,600 life points. To check how many life points the opponent and you have, you could press L, and it will give you the score. That is what your life points and the opponent's life points is.
Clear 8,000 LP, enemy 5,400 LP.
Oh, it actually hit for more than I thought it did. So that's good to know. Now I'm going to press backspace to end my turn.
Main phase 2.
Main phase 2, you would set spells here, but I have no spells or traps to set. I just have the stuff in my hand, and that's it.
End phase. Next turn, draw phase. Clear 2 to 1, stand by phase. Main phase 1. Set it pause. End phase. Next turn, draw phase. Clear 1 to 1, stand by phase. Main phase 1.
Okay, so they did not summon a monster. They did what's called set. Now, to check what they have on the field, you can hit the up arrow to go to the enemy player field.
Enemy player field, monster zone 1 cards.
And you can use W or E to look at the monster zones and spell zones, respectively. So W.
Monster zone 1 cards. Face down slot 0.
Would give me the face down here. I have no idea what it is.
There are no cards to display.
And there's no spell zone. There's no spells on his spell zone.
Player field, there are no cards to display.
So,
Hand 5 cards. Free Taplin Alfred Scorpio slot 0. Free Taplin Alfred Scorpio slot 1. Free Taplin Cluminasundu slot 2. Free Taplin Cluminasundu slot 3. Free Taplin Saracenian slot 4.
let's see.
Free Taplin Saracenian, hand 5. Monster effect, dark, level 1. Lance, attack 100. Defense 600. When an opponent's monster declares a direct attack, you can special summon this card from your hand. After damage calculation, if this card battles an opponent's monster, you can destroy that opponent's monster. If this card is destroyed by battle, or if this card on the field is sent to the graveyard by a card effect, you can add 1 free tap card from your deck to your hand. Except Free Taplin Saracenian, you can only use this effect of Free Taplin Saracenian once per turn.
Now, I'm going to do something crazy and fusion summon again.
Free Taplin Cluminasundu slot 3.
I do not have to do this, but I will do it anyway because it's fun.
Selected Free Taplin Cluminasundu. Select the zone to play Free Taplin Cluminasundu. Monster zone 1. 1 summon Free Taplin Cluminasundu.
Okay, now I will fusion
Monster
summon
zone 2
again.
cards. Free Taplin Cluminasundu 600. Selected Free Taplin. This card cannot use a command special summon right now.
Oh, I can't special summon right now? Interesting.
Monster zone 2 cards. Free Taplin Chimera Flesia 2500 attack 2000 defense zone 1. Free Taplin Cluminasundu 600 attack 200 defense zone 2.
That's okay. I can't fusion summon.
Hand 4 cards. Free Taplin Alfred Scorpio 12. Free Taplin Alfred Scorpio 12. Free Taplin Cluminasundu 600. Free Taplin Saracenian 100. Free Taplin Saracenian 100 attack
That's
600
alright.
defense zone 0.
I'll just attack.
Battle phase. Monster zone 2. Free Taplin Chimera Flesia 20. Selected free. Monster zone 1 card. Select an attack card. Select Monster zone 2 cards. Free Taplin Chimera Flesia attacks. This card cannot use the command right now. Damage step starts. Breaker the magical warrior destroyed. Damage step end.
Another breaker.
Monster zone 2 cards. Free Taplin Cluminasundu. Select Free Taplin Cluminasundu attacks directly. Damage step starts. Clear 2 LP minus 600. 4800 LP remaining. Damage step end.
Now, as you saw, when I attacked with the Chimera Flesia, I attacked, but it did not cause him damage the first time because the monster was in defense position. It got destroyed, but he did not take damage. The second time I attacked him directly for 600 points of damage, and that's why he has 4,800 life points left.
Main phase 2. End phase. Next turn, draw phase. Clear 2 to 1, stand by phase. Main phase 1. 2 summon Breaker the Magical Warrior. Breaker the Magical Warrior is activated. 1 spell counter has been placed on Breaker the Magical Warrior. Battle phase. Breaker the Magical Warrior attacks Free Taplin Cluminasundu. Damage step starts. Clear 1 LP minus 1300. 6700 LP remaining. Free Taplin Cluminasundu destroyed. Damage step end. Main phase 2. End phase. Next turn, draw phase. Clear 1 to 1, stand by phase. Main phase 1.
The AI destroyed my monster, and I took 1,300 points of damage.
Clear 6700 LP. Enemy 4800 LP. Hand 5 cards. Free Taplin Alfred Scorpio slot. Free Taplin Alfred Scorpio. Free Taplin Cluminasundu slot 2. Free Taplin Saracenian slot. Free Taplin Saracenian slot 4.
Let's
Free
see.
Taplin Cluminasundu slot 2. Selected Free Taplin. Select the zone to play Free. Monster zone 1. What? Monster zone 2. Free Taplin Cluminasundu. Selected Free Taplin. Free Taplin Cluminasundu is activated. Select the monster to special summon. Starving Venom Fusion Dragon.
I thought so.
Starving Venom Fusion Dragon 2800 attack 2000 defense zone.
Now this monster I'm going to summon because it's fun.
Selected Starving Venom Fusion Dragon. Free Taplin Chimera Flesia. Selected Free Taplin Chimera Flesia. Free Taplin Chimera Flesia sent to die. Free Taplin Cluminasundu sent to die. Select the zone to play Starving Venom Fusion. There are no cards. Select position. Attack up. 1 is special summoning Starving Venom Fusion Dragon.
This is my favorite monster in the fusion in this deck.
Monster zone 1 cards.
This is probably the best monster.
Starving Venom Fusion Dragon 2800 attack 2000 defense zone 1.
2,800 attack, 2,000 defense. Let's see what it does.
Starving Venom Fusion Dragon. Monster zone 1. Zone 1. Attack position. Monster effect fusion. Dark level 8. Dragon. Attack 2800. Defense 2000. 2 dark monsters on the field except tokens if this card is fusion summoned. You can make this card gain ATK equal to 1 opponent's special summon monster until the end of his turn. Once per turn, you can target 1 level 5 or higher monster your opponent controls until the end phase. This card's name becomes that monster's original name and replace this effect with that monster's original effects. If this fusion summon card is destroyed, you can destroy all your opponent's special summon monsters.
So not only can it get an attack from a monster on the opponent's side of the field, it can also, if it's a level 5 or higher monster that is on the field, gain its effect and its name. And if it gets destroyed, it destroys all the other special summoned monsters on the field. That is one of the best monsters out there. That's beside the point. This is beyond the scope of the tutorial, but I figured I'd let you know because it's really fun. Here we go. Let's activate the effect.
Select the starting. This card cannot use the command activate right now.
Oh, I can't activate its effect.
Monster Zone 1 cards. Starting Venom Fusion. Selected start Monster Zone 1 cards. Select an attack. Selected Monster Zone 1 cards. Starting Venom Fusion Dragon attacks Breaker the Magical Warrior. This card cannot use the command right now. Damage step start. Clear 2 LP minus 900. 3900 LP remaining. Breaker the Magical Warrior destroyed. Damage step end. Main phase 2. End phase. Next turn. Draw phase. Clear 2 to 1. Stand by phase. Use Free Chimera Leisure from graveyard.
Ooh.
Yes. Free Chimera Leisure activated. Select the card to add to your hand. Polymerization. Selected polymerization. Selectable cards 5 cards. Polymerization slot. Polymerization slot. Selected polymerization. Polymerization searched.
There we go.
Deck 1 double. Main phase 1. Set a card. End phase. Next turn. Draw phase. Clear 1 to 1. Stand by phase. Main phase 1.
Sometimes you have to hit the letter Z, and that will give you a list of your selectable cards. So when I played that effect, it allowed me to search polymerization, but I was not able to select it for some reason. However, I was able to select it after I press Z, and then it would allow me to select it. That's fine. Sometimes it happens.
Activable cards 1 cards. Polymerization slot 0.
Now I can use polymerization to fusion summon, like I told you about.
Selected polymerization. Select the zone to play polymerization. There are no cards. Polymerization is activated. Select the monster to special summon. Free Chimera Leisure. Free Chimera Leisure 2500. Free Chimera Leisure. Selected Free Chimera Leisure. Free Free Scorpio. Selected Free Scorpio. Free Scorpio. Selected Free Scorpio. Free Scorpio sent to die. Free Scorpio sent to die. Select the zone to play Free Chimera. Monster zone 1 cards. Select position. Attack up. 1 is special summoning Free Chimera Leisure. Polymerization sent to die.
And that allowed me to fusion summon from my hand. So now,
hand 3 cards.
Well, I have 3 cards.
Free Saracenian slot. Free Saracenian slot. Free Saracenian slot 2.
I'm going to set this
Select the zone to play Free Saracenian. Monster zone 2. 1 is summoning Free Saracenian.
That's a little bit of overkill, but who cares?
Battle phase.
It's battle.
Monster zone 3 card. Starting Venom Fusion. Free Saracenian 100 attack. Monster zone 1 card. Select an attack target. Select Monster Zone 3 card. Free Saracenian attack. This card cannot use the command right now. Damage step start. Clear 1 LP minus 300. 6400 LP remaining. Trigger Free Saracenian from Monster Zone.
That took little damage.
Yes. Free Saracenian is activated. Start under destroyed. Damage step end.
But I was able to destroy the opponent's monster.
Monster Zone 3 card. Starting Venom Fusion Dragon slot 0.
So now,
Free Chimera Leisure slot 1.
let's attack.
Starting Venom Fusion Dragon. Selected Starting Venom Fusion
That's
Dragon.
my favorite monster. Starting Venom Fusion Dragon.
Starting Venom Fusion Dragon attacks directly. Damage step start. Clear 2 LP minus 2800. 1100 LP remaining. Damage step end. Monster Zone 3 card. Free Chimera Leisure 2500 attacks 2000 prevents zone 2.
High note.
Selected Free Chimera Leisure.
Let's attack with Chimera Flesia, the monster that I first summoned and was able to fusion summon now with polymerization.
Free Chimera Leisure attacks directly. Damage step start. Clear 2 LP minus 2500. 0 LP remaining. Victory. AI field lucky LP reached 0.
And I win the duel. And that's how you go through a duel. So, if you want to look at your field, you can, like I said, press W or E to look at your monsters or spells and traps. R for extra deck. T, I believe, is for graveyard, I'm pretty sure. I don't know if there's one for banish still. I don't think so. I haven't seen it, if there is. But that's how you play the game. And you can press Z for the selectable card, just in case you're not able to select it when the menu pops up. X is for your monsters that you are able to summon that are called special summonable monsters. Now, I did not show you. I did not show you this because I did not actually summon a monster from the extra deck except for Starting Venom Fusion Dragon. But since I fusion summoned and it automatically popped up, I didn't have to press X because it allowed me to fusion summon it anyway by just using that thing when it popped up. So it didn't really actually matter that I didn't have to press X. C is for spells. Activatable spells, like I used to activate polymerization by pressing C, Enter, and then F to select polymerization and to activate it. V is for switching your monsters, spells, and links, and that's essentially it. I mean, there's other commands too if you want to repeat your stuff, like J, I believe it is one that if you want to learn how to repeat, or H. L is for life points. But essentially, that's how you play the game. And I just showed you that I can duel successfully without the mouse, without any compromise. We dueled and we won. I mean, I'm not great at dueling this well in real life necessarily online, but that's how you duel. And that's how you can do it. So I do want to thank you for listening to this tutorial. I know it's a little bit short. But this tutorial is not meant to show you how to play the game mechanical-wise, because there are so many videos out there that you can use to learn how to play the game that me just adding one would be redundant. If you want to learn how to play the game, You can look up TGS Anime, you can look up SEMO, you can look up all kinds of different YouTube channels that will allow you to learn how to play the game. But learning how to play this game on this client is something I will be more than happy to teach you. So if you have any questions about how to use the keyboard command successfully to do things like XC summon, synchro summon, ritual summon, that kind of thing, or pendulum summon even, because I know some people love pendulums. I love pendulums. Then I'll show you how to do that. But I wanted to give you basics on the tutorial, and so I apologize if this was not what you were expecting. But a lot of people don't speak English here, and I don't speak any other languages besides English fluently, because that's just how it is. So I can't make videos in other languages. So if you want to learn more, you can ask me on the Discord server. And I will put the link in the description for my Discord server if you want to look at that. And I will see you guys later. I will hit no by hitting period.
No, waiting for rematch answers.
It says waiting for rematch. You press no or yes, comma or period. Yes for comma, no for period. And there you go.
No, duel ended.
And you press enter and 0.
Accessibility, online duel.
And that's it. Then you can exit.
See user Zilcam OneDrive text.
So thank you very much, and I will see you guys next time. Like I said, if you have any more questions, if there are things that you think I've missed, feel free to let me know. I'll answer the best I can. But thank you very much, and I'll see you guys next time.
Desktop list to double blind search test chat Microsoft Studio 60 Ops 20 start virtual camera stop recording checkbox checked.